Hey everyone, welcome back to Fluent Vibes. I'm Jake, and as always, I'm here with the one and only Nina.
Hi, guys. I'm pumped for today's episode because we're talking about something everyone struggles with: mistakes that totally sabotage your English fluency. Jake, do you remember your own worst English mistake?
Oh, absolutely. I once mixed up dessert and desert and told someone I loved walking on sweet, sandy desserts. They looked at me like I was a lunatic with a sugar addiction.
Ah, I love it. So, for everyone listening, today we are breaking down the 5 biggest mistakes that can ruin your English fluency. And trust me, number 5 is one that even advanced speakers make. Ready to jump in, Jake?
Let's do it. Mistake number one, relying too much on translating from your native language. This one is a classic trap. When you try to translate everything word for word, your sentences end up sounding awkward, kind of like a robot reading Google Translate out loud.
Oh, totally. But why does translating mess things up so much? I mean, isn't it helpful sometimes?
Good question. Imagine you're building a Lego house with pieces from two different sets. The colors don't match, the doors don't fit, and suddenly your house looks like a Picasso painting. Languages have their own structures, idioms, and word order. So when you directly translate, you get sentences like, I have hunger instead of I'm hungry. It sounds odd to native speakers.
I get that. I remember once I tried to say, I'm excited in Spanish, but I ended up saying something really embarrassing because the words didn't match up. So, Jake, what's your tip for avoiding this translation trap?
Immerse yourself in English as much as possible. Watch TV shows, listen to podcasts, read books, basically, get used to how native speakers actually talk. And when you learn new words, learn them in context, not just as single words. If you hear take a shower instead of just shower, you'll remember the phrase, not just the word.
That's so true. Context is everything. Okay, mistake number 2: focusing too much on grammar and not enough on speaking. Why do people do this, Jake?
Honestly, I blame school a little. We spend years learning grammar rules, memorizing tenses, and filling out worksheets. But when it's time to actually speak, our brains freeze because we're busy trying to remember if it's have been going or had been going.
So, are you saying grammar isn't important? Because I can already hear some listeners clutching their grammar books in horror.
Don't worry, grammar lovers. Grammar is important, but it's not the end all be all. Think about how kids learn to speak. They pick up words and phrases first, then the rules come later. If you focus only on grammar, you end up knowing the theory, but not being able to have a conversation. It's like knowing all the rules of chess, but never actually playing the game.
I love that analogy. So, what's a better way to get fluent without obsessing over grammar?
Practice, practice, practice. Speak as much as you can, even if you make mistakes. The more you use English in real conversations, the more naturally the grammar will start to click. It's like muscle memory. And don't be afraid to sound imperfect. That's how you improve.
I love that. Listeners, if you've ever felt embarrassed about making a mistake while speaking, just know that it's totally normal. Even Jake messes up, and he's basically an English wizard.
Thanks, Nina. I'll take that as a compliment, minus the wizard hat. All right, mistake number 3. Using a limited vocabulary and repeating the same words over and over.
Ooh, guilty as charged. Sometimes I get stuck saying good, nice, or interesting for everything. Why is having a small vocabulary such a big deal?
Think of vocabulary like colors in a painting. If you only have 3 colors, your painting looks flat and boring. But add more colors, and suddenly you can create a masterpiece. Using the same words makes your English sound repetitive and basic. Plus, sometimes the word you choose doesn't quite fit what you're trying to say.
Okay, so how can people expand their vocabulary without just memorizing endless word lists?
Great question. Instead of memorizing, focus on noticing new words in context. When you read or listen to something, jot down interesting phrases, not just single words. Try to use them in your own sentences right away. For example, if you hear someone say, "That movie was mind-blowing," try using mind-blowing the next time you talk about something amazing. It sticks better when you use it.
Love that tip. And for everyone listening, challenge yourself. This week, swap out good for something more creative, maybe fantastic, incredible, or even mind-blowing.
Exactly. And if you mess up, just laugh it off. That brings us to mistake number 4, being afraid of making mistakes.
Oh, the irony. But seriously, why are people so terrified of saying the wrong thing?
It's human nature. Nobody wants to sound silly or be judged, especially in a new language. But here's a secret. Most native speakers appreciate the effort and don't care if you mess up. In fact, sometimes your mistakes can lead to funny moments or interesting conversations.
I have to ask, what's the funniest mistake you've ever heard from a learner?
Oh, there are so many. But my favorite was a student who tried to say, "I'm full" after a meal, but accidentally said, "I'm pregnant." The waiter's face was priceless. Instead of being embarrassed, we all laughed, and she never forgot the right phrase after that.
That's hilarious. So, the lesson here is, don't let fear hold you back. Mistakes are proof that you're trying.
Exactly. Treat mistakes as stepping stones, not stumbling blocks. And hey, sometimes they make for the best stories.
That brings us to our final mistake, number 5, not practicing listening enough. People often focus on speaking, but forget that listening is half the conversation, right?
Nailed it. Imagine trying to dance with someone but never listening to the music. You'd be totally out of sync. Listening helps you pick up pronunciation, intonation, slang, and the natural flow of conversation. Without it, your speaking skills will always be a step behind.
So, how can people improve their listening without getting bored or overwhelmed?
Start with things you enjoy: movies, music, podcasts, even YouTube videos. Don't worry about understanding every single word. Focus on getting the general idea and pay attention to how people actually talk. Try shadowing. Repeat what you hear out loud to mimic the rhythm and pronunciation. It's like karaoke, but for language.
Karaoke for language. I love that. Okay, Jake, let's take a quick listener question. This one comes from Maria in Brazil. She asks, what should I do if I get stuck in a conversation and can't remember a word?
Great question, Maria. First, don't panic. You can use simple phrases like, "How do you say?" or describe what you mean. For example, if you forget umbrella, you can say, "The thing you use when it rains." Most people will help you out. Also, keep a mental list of basic phrases you can use when you get stuck, like "let me think" or "what's the word for?"
Awesome advice. And honestly, sometimes the person you're talking to doesn't know the word either. We all get brain freeze.
Absolutely. Language is about communication, not perfection. If you get your message across, you've succeeded.
Speaking of getting messages across, Jake, can we talk about some funny language fails? Because I have a good one. So, I was in Italy, and I tried to say, "I'm hot," meaning I was feeling warm. But I said, "sono calda," which apparently means I'm sexy. My friend's Italian grandma nearly fainted.
Classic. I once told a French baker I wanted pain for breakfast, which means bread, but I said it in a way that sounded like I wanted pain, as in suffering. He just stared at me with horror until I pointed at the baguette.
Moral of the story, language fails happen to everyone. Laugh it off, learn from it, and move on.
Couldn't agree more. All right, time for our key takeaway tips for avoiding these fluency killing mistakes.
I'll start. Tip 1. Stop translating word for word, learn phrases and expressions in context.
Tip 2. Don't obsess over grammar. Focus on communicating and practicing speaking.
Tip 3. Expand your vocabulary by noticing and using new words in real life, not just memorizing lists.
Tip 4. Don't be afraid to make mistakes. They're part of the learning process.
And tip 5. Practice listening as much as you practice speaking. The more you listen, the better you'll speak.
Nailed it. Before we sign off, remember, fluency is a journey, not a race. Enjoy the process, celebrate your progress, and never be afraid to laugh at yourself along the way.
If you found today's episode helpful, make sure to follow, share, and subscribe and tell us your funniest language fail. We might read it out next time.
Thanks for tuning in to Fluent Vibes. We'll catch you next week.